Welcome to this video on the casts of the Lunar Exalted from the tabletop role-playing game, Exalted. The Lunar Exalted were created to be the Solar Exalted's companions, protectors, agents, and counterparts, the only beings whose power was nearly on par with the champions of the unconquered sun. But the lunar strength lay in their shape-changing, the flexibility of their bodies, minds, and souls, and their ability to change to exploit their enemies' weaknesses. The usurpation hit the Lunars nearly as hard as it did the Solars. Where once their castes were dependent on the auspices of the moon, their exposure to the wild and the threat of falling to madness forced the sorcerers of the Lunars to permanently fix their castes with moon silver tattoos, a condition which continues into the Second Age. But without further ado, the castes of the Lunar Exalted. The Full Moon Caste. The full moon is the fullest expression of Luna's raw power, without any of her considerable subterfuge or guile, the moon that reveals her prey wherever it might try to hide. The children of the burning moon guard creation from the things that would destroy it in the night, through mercurial speed and overwhelming strength. And when the moon vanishes, the sun rises on the cold corpses of those who dare to threaten creation. This is the duty and joy of the warriors of the Silver Pact. During the usurpation, some full moons stood by the sides of their solar companions and died with them, or launched doomed campaigns upon hearing of the slaughter of the Solars at Mount Meru. Others withdrew to the borders of creation to prepare to defend it against the forces of the fair folk who would inevitably come to test them. The Silver Blades are the strongest, fastest, and hardiest of Luna's children, able to fell powerful beasts in a single blow and destroy armies with the fluidity and strength of their fighting prowess, shifting easily between forms, stances, and styles to exploit the weaknesses of their enemies as soon as they appear. Full Moon Lunars are inducted into the Silver Pact with trials of hunting and combat, charged with destroying seemingly impossible beasts or enemies, usually after long treks through inhospitable terrain. Once a Full Moon Lunar has been tattooed, they take on the totems of animals of strength, endurance, and speed, such as bears, great cats, bulls, serpents, and falcons. The Night Fang's anima banner is as simple as it is deadly. Expenditures of essence into it enhances their strength and speed, turning what might be a deadly battle into a doomed one for their foes. The Changing Moon Caste. The moon changes shape in the sky as Luna demonstrates his mastery of misdirection and deception. The Full Moon Caste may be the defenders of creation's body, but the Changing Moon Caste is the defender of creation's soul. The Changing Moons are persuaders and tricksters, relying on their wits and magnetism to beguile and deceive both their allies and enemies alike. To be sure, the Changing Moons are products of the usurpation. Before, there were 5 castes, but with the Lunars' retreat into the wild, the Waxing Moon Caste, the Half Moon Caste, and the Waning Moon Caste were lost. Even the knowledge of the castes were lost thanks to the thoroughness of the Dragon-Blooded's destruction of First Age records. The No Moon Caste were able to merge the remnants of the 3 into a new caste, the Changing Moon. The children of the Shifting Moon are stealthy, cunning, and treacherous. They are silver-tongued and able to elicit the response they desire from their targets, whether it is fear, love, lust, anger, or even scorn. They are able to go where they are not expected or wanted, and twist even the hardest hearts to their cause. The Night Thieves have been known to break barbarian warbands in even cities by replacing certain crucial people or turning their loyalties, or they reinforce those loyalties by giving them unthought-of tactics that turn the tide of battle. The children of the Shifting Moon joined the Silver Pact through trials of seduction, persuasion, and deceit. Their preferred shapes are graceful, beautiful, or both sleek, predatory felines, majestic birds of prey, regal serpents, and other hunters who are as fair to look upon as they are deadly. A Changing Moon's Lunar has the ability to use their anima to weave illusions and make them appear as anyone they've ever met, right down to their smell. The illusion also includes a charm of trustworthiness. However, if the courtier of Luna uses too much essence, their tattoos bleed through the illusion, which breaks the glamour, but makes them difficult to identify, which enables them to escape and try again with another shape. The No Moon Caste. In darkness, Luna dedicates herself to the study of magic without distraction, and those children of Luna bound to the hidden moon have a penchant for sorcery, and within the Silver Pact are the undisputed masters of the subtle arts. They are given to manipulating the eddies and flows of essence, and crafted the moon silver tattoos that saved the Lunars from the madness of the wild after the usurpation. It was the No Moons who first noticed the encroaching madness of the Solar Exalted, though they were not so prescient as to detect the treachery of the Sidereals and the Dragon-Blooded. However, they were prescient enough to escape the usurpation and retreat into the wild first among their kind. The No Moons are the lore keepers and occultists of the Silver Pact. They hold the art of moon silver tattoos which fixed the caste of Lunars and prevented them from becoming chimera. They preserve the lore of not only the Lunars but of creation before the Dragon-Blooded's ascent to power. They are gifted with a foresight that does not rely on the raw power of the Solar Exalted or the fate reading of the Sidereal Exalted. Instead, the No Moons rely on quick thinking and mystical insight, both in their trials to be accepted into the Silver Pact and in their development as sorcerers. The No Moons prefer totem animals with mystical significance or those that are sacred to Luna. Their favorite shapes are of cats, bears, owls, snakes, and deep-sea animals. Certain children of the Hidden Moon have been known for the ability to cloak themselves in shadows, which makes them harder to perceive. The Lunar's anima cloak also has the effect of lessening the cost of essence they must draw upon to use both spells and charms. The Casteless. Originally, the Lunars were not exalted into any one particular caste. Rather, they developed and determined their caste with experience and inclination until they joined one of the 5 castes. But those Lunars who did not die in the usurpation fled from the Dragon-Blooded into the wild. And in the wild, they were changed against their will by the chaotic energy of that place. Every Lunar is exalted as one of the Casteless, and remained so until the No Moon sorcerers affixed them with the moon silver tattoos that placed them in one of the 3 remaining castes. Until then, the Casteless roam creation left to their own devices, untutored in their duties to the Silver Lady, and unprotected from the mutating energies of the wild. These moon-mad Lunars dwell at the fringes of creation, often as bandits, barbarians, mercenaries, and assassins, restless wanderers from one place to another, in search of a purpose that continually eludes them, lacking the true power of a chosen of Luna. Until then, a casteless Lunar may take any kind of animal totem, but they are also subject to the vicissitudes of the moon. For 3 days of the moon they possess the powers of a full moon, for another 3 they possess the abilities of a no moon, and for the remaining days of the month they utilize the powers of the changing moon's caste. During the 5 days of calibration, they possess the powers of the No Moon Caste, something which is a continuing curiosity to the sorcerers of Luna. And those were the castes of the Lunar Exalted. When I first picked up Exalted the Lunars way too long ago, it was with a certain wariness because Werewolf the Apocalypse kind of soured me on shapeshifters. But the Lunars were a pleasant surprise. Rather than being tribal primitive race warriors, the Lunars were a bit more thought-provoking. In the first edition it's more subtext, but in second edition they kind of slap you in the face with it that Lunars are social engineers with a little eugenics thrown in here and there, but they have a good reason for why. There are living Lunars, the eldest of their kind, who saw the greatest champions in creation fall, and the greatest civilization in history die. They are living witnesses to not 1, not 2, but 3 apocalyptic events. So it is understandable why some of them want to either build a hardier society, or better people, to fight off the Dragon-Blooded, the Fairfolk, the Death Lords, the Yozis, or whatever else decides to upend creation once more. Okay, short story time. In an Exalted game I ran in college, we had a mixed circle of Solars and Abyssals. The resident Abyssal Midnight's lunar mate was from the First Age, an elder called Urzon Spikeback, who was a cross between Tyler Durden and Ted Kaczynski. The Spikeback wanted to destroy the realm, the dual monarchy, and Malpheus, then the Exalted, and finally the gods and elementals themselves, all based on the idea that humanity could be strengthened to rule creation by themselves. Then he found out about Autothon's return to creation, plotted to kill the Primordial and destroy Autothonia, not by killing his fetish soul, but by eating it, so that he could, hypothetically, steal the shape and power of a primordial.
It's a bold strategy, Cotton. Let's see if it pays off for him.
So he snuck his horde of mortal and beastmen terrorists into Autothonia, proceeded to cause mayhem, destroy critical facilities, and slowly worked his way towards Autothon's core, all while being chased by the Circle and some very pissed off Alchemical Exalted, who identified all of the intruders as enemies. Finally, the Abyssal and Urzon had a showdown inside of the core of the Machine God. The Abyssal, being unable to defeat Urzon in a straight-up fight because 2,000-year-old Lunar, tried to persuade him to not kill Autothon. What followed was some high-tension combat and some very lucky-as-hell performance rolls. But at the end, a bargain was made. As to what that was, well, cliffhanger for you. But I will say that by the end of the bargain, a Death Lord was destroyed. Anyway, that's all I have for now. Until next time.